question I have is, after seeing Some Kind of Monster and looking at like Lars's relationship with his father, I understand he has kids too. Do you guys bounce things off each other as brothers, bandmates? You know, you guys are like family. You know, so I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of
it's worse than family.
Yeah.
Right? we're married. There's no doubt about that. You know. It's a great question, and yes, we do. Especially after like a couple months away from each other, which is always good, and you get back together and you say, oh my God, this is happening, and can you believe my son is doing this and this? Like, you too? Oh man. And we're sharing these stories, and well, here's what I did, and then he tells me something, and it's such a different relationship at this point. And yeah, you know, you mentioned the Some Kind of Monster movie, and we're bickering like I want a divorce, you know, you brought up the D word, oh my God, I can't, you know, it was so heated, there was so much passion there, but a lot of it was driven by fear, and we knew deep down that we loved each other so much that nothing was gonna tear us apart, even the worst kind of fight that was going on right then, or him screaming the F word in my face, you know, okay, you get it out. And now the relationship is unbelievable, and we are able to treat each other like brothers. I'm sorry.
Her dad was gone, and yes. She asked what you used to get through that pain when you were a kid.
Well, music for sure. Yeah, father left at 13, as you know in the movie. It was a really tough time to understand all of that. You know, okay, when my mom finally said that, you know, your father has left, he's no longer on the month-long business trip that we thought he was on, and come to the realization that he wasn't coming back. Just numbness, pretty much. Got really numb and didn't want to talk to anybody. I felt very alone. I felt that music spoke for me, so I was able to get in there and really just get lost in it, and it was an escape for me. Turned out to be a career, which is a positive of that, but you know, just trying to run away from it, and the drinking started, and then that path, they kind of ran similar, they can't parallel next to each other. And really, you know, up till 10 years ago, I thought drinking was really good for me. And life is unbelievably great at this point, and every decade is getting better. But music did. Friends helped a lot, more than I knew. I think what would have helped me more is maybe more experience with talking about my feelings, because there wasn't a lot of that allowed in the house, unless it was really good, you know. But anything that was negative or fearful or scary wasn't really mentioned in the house. It's really important, I think, to tell my kids that they can talk about anything at any time, when they're compelled to talk about it. And I think honesty and freedom in the house is pretty important. Well, yeah, talking about it. I mean, communication is king. Mm-hmm. It is king. And the more comfortable, you know, as a kid, I was afraid to talk about anything. But if my parents would have started the conversation, I probably would have thought, well, maybe it's okay, and then open up the dialogue. And a lot of times I'll try and open up the dialogue with my kids now, and it's like, yeah, Dad, whatever, and you know, they're trying to, well, okay, they're not ready for that conversation, and that's totally fine, as long as they know that they can talk about it, and they don't have to bottle it down, and then one day it implodes or explodes.
I think also too, like people that have dealt with that kind of thing, like that you dealt with your dad leaving, and everybody who's kind of dealt with that, there's an opportunity there that we don't really realize, and James capitalized on it, but probably didn't realize it. But there's an opportunity to take something like that and turn it into what's called a sacred wound. It's your wound. Nobody can take that away from you. And you take that and you use that to reshape your life and what's going on. And you can go one of two ways. You can be a victim for the rest of your life, or you can make it a sacred wound and you can make it yours. You own it, you deal with it, you grieve for it, you move on, and you use it in the opposite direction to make your life better and the life better for everyone that you deal with in the rest of your life.
Hey James, thanks for coming to town. My question is, in your music, there's a lot of raw emotion that obviously has to deal with your father and mother. In particular, Dyer's Eve and God That Failed. I'm just wondering, when you wrote those songs, do you still feel that same way to some degree? And at what point, if you were at all able to forgive your parents, and how have you moved on from that?
Yeah, there's some moving on that has happened, and like a few others questions before, just the blame game of, that does me no good. It really doesn't. I think finding out where your wounds come from is important. Okay, this happened in my life, this traumatic thing happened in my life, and now I identify them. These are things that I possibly don't want to do to my children, and also not hanging on to, this is why I am who I am. That's not helping anyone. The person you're blaming, and especially yourself, and me being able to come to peace with that and forgive, they did their best. And I wish I could ask them directly, and I have many times in my prayers, and I think they have answered me, and they show up in my lives in many different ways that I feel a lot more open to. But moving on, for sure, from those. But just like anything, that is a historic marker in my life, and the song is exactly what it is, and it helped me at that moment in life, and if possibly someone else gets helped from that moment at that time, and they identify with that song, then it's done its job again.